Hello, people. It's your Usmaan back again with another match preview. It's Manchester United against Liverpool in the FA Cup. The two biggest teams in England go head-to-head in the fifth round, only game that anyone cares about in the week. Listen, Man United against Liverpool again. The last one definitely lived up to the expectations. A fantastic 0-0 draw. Played with great intensity. A lot of opportunities for both teams, and it was just an exciting game all around. If I'm not mistaken, this one goes straight to penalties. Obviously, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But without further ado, let me introduce us to our guest. As I said to the boys prior to coming on, we're trying our best to be impartial. Obviously, it's very difficult, Man United, Liverpool. I don't need to explain. You guys know why it's difficult. So first and foremost, in the Liverpool corner, we got Neil Atkinson. How are you, Neil?
I'm very, very good indeed, Usmaan. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, Obviously, an absolute pleasure to have you on my platform for the first time. Alongside you, defending you, is Steve. Steve, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, mate. Ask me again in about half an hour or so after this one, and we'll might have a different answer. We'll see if you boys go easy on me.
Okay. Listen, it's the first time both of you, so I'm sure, to be fair, we've been nice to you. We've got the nice people on, obviously, luckily for you guys. We haven't got the ones that just like, oh, Jerry's looking at me like, what?
I'm joking.
What did you say? And obviously, representing Manchester United, my beautiful brother, he paid me to say that. Was, how you doing?
I'm not bad, man. I'm blushing now.
I'm good. It's good to see Obi Waskanobi. And last but not least, it's pretty obvious what team he supports with this shirt on. We got Jerry United. What are you saying, brother?
Yes, I'm good, man. Feeling good, feeling nice, feeling fresh. Let's go.
Oh, beautiful. Obviously, we're talking Manchester United, Liverpool. As always, get your comments in. If you've got any questions, if you just need to banter the Liverpool fans, or even banter the Man United fans if you're from the other side, by all means, feel free to get them in the comment section, and we'll get them on the screen. Jamie, Jamie, the homie. Hopefully you're doing well, bro. Good to see you tuning in at ITN always. Tuning into the watch-alongs always stressing me out because I'm 30 seconds behind you and you're telling me Man United have done something stupid. So I appreciate you coming on. So something that's finally live, so no surprises from you. But listen, let's get straight into it. I kind of want to get into the sort of crux of everyone's thoughts going into this game first and foremost. I've got to be honest, my opinion keeps changing whether, Man United's perspective, and you should go strong in this game. But Neil, we'll start with you going into this game. I believe Liverpool not got winning 5. Is it 4 or 5? I believe it's 4. Oh, is it 5? Oh,
5.
Wow, it is 5 now. Okay, Neil, so obviously...
They haven't scored in 4.
Yeah, that's good. That's the start. Yeah, so, Neil, what are your thoughts going into this game? Would you say this is a potential opportunity for Liverpool to... I don't want to say turn the season on, but build a bit of momentum, should we say?
Yeah, of course it is. I think that's the thing that you want going into this, to be honest with you. It's, you're playing against Manchester United, 4th round of the FA Cup, and it'd always be hugely significant. You can approach it a number of different ways, and I know as we'll talk, we'll develop certain themes, and one of them is the 5 subs. So just because if either manager chooses not to start that strong, he can change his situation profoundly on 45 or 60, say. So, I think that's worth bearing in mind. But on the whole, this would be, if Liverpool were 9 points clear at the top of the league, I'd want Liverpool to go into this with a strong side. If they were level on points at the top of the league, I'd want them to go into it with a strong side because, you don't get that many chances to play cup games at Old Trafford. And it's a shame there's no supporters in because there'd be the full end and that'd be great. But I'm very much into the idea that, listen, Manchester United play Liverpool. It's a big deal. And I think that Liverpool should respond to it as being a big deal. And I'm optimistic going into tomorrow that Liverpool will take it very seriously and will be looking to turn around what's been going on.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, obviously, first. Regarding the fans, it would have been a fantastic, opportunity for fans. One game at Anfield in the week, and then obviously Old Trafford. That's kind of what you live for as a fan. But regarding what you said, it's interesting to hear what you're saying. Regardless of the position you're in, you would want to take it serious because of the opposition, of course. The rivalry is absolutely massive. Steve, what are your thoughts? Do you echo the sentiments of Neil, or have you got a different perspective?
I echo what Neil said to a large degree. With the 5 games not winning or 5 not winning, not scoring for 4. Yeah. I want the team to go in strong tomorrow. You don't get your form back, you don't get your tempo and your fluidity back sitting on the bench watching fringe players. This is Manchester United versus Liverpool. This warrants the big guns for Liverpool. I think any opportunity to gain some momentum a win right now does that for us to some degree. People like Trent, and I know there's a lot of clamour for Trent to sort of have a rest and replace him for a little while because he's lacking in a bit of form. But I think those guys have got to play their way back into form, and there's no bigger appetizer, is there, than going to Manchester United, like you say, in the fourth round of the FA Cup. If we can't motivate and lift ourselves for that game and hopefully find some momentum, and all we need is a win just to put some belief back in the camp. We look a bit bereft of confidence at the moment, which is strange given the sort of 2 years they've had. But I think we go strong tomorrow. Hopefully we get the result. Go into training on Monday. Everybody's lifted by the win. There's a buoyancy back in the lads. There's nothing like a win to heal tired legs.
Yeah.
There is a bit of fatigue, but I think it's mental fatigue rather than physical at the moment.
Absolutely.
So, let's look for something that can give us a lift, and hopefully tomorrow brings that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with what you said in terms of the fatigue. But myself and Neil kind of spoke about the last time I spoke to him. I've just realised I said it's the 5th round, isn't it? And it's obviously the 4th round. So I'm clearly getting ahead of myself, assuming Man United got through to the next round. So ignore that part if you do end up losing the game. But listen, obviously you've heard what the guys have said. We've got commentary from Jamie. Ollie's going to make changes. So will Liverpool. Of course, that's his thoughts. Obviously, Ali Saeed joining us as well. What do you reckon? You've heard what the guys have said, in particular regarding the importance of the game from a Liverpool perspective. Baz, do you share the same sentiment as a Man United fan going into this one?
I mean, we're in a better place than Liverpool at the moment. Regarding the last game that we played against them in the league the other day, I didn't think it was a bad game, to be honest. I thought it was an okay game, but I think both teams should go strong. Obviously, those guys, the Liverpool team, need confidence. And like as Steve was saying, if you don't play your players, you leave them on the bench, and that they're not going to gain confidence like that. But it's our job as Man United to not let them get that confidence, because I think psychologically, it seems like a very psychological kind of season. It's a very topsy-turvy season. There'll be teams going up, and there'll be title contenders, and before you know, they'll be right near the bottom. Anything's possible, and anything, as you can see, everything's happening. The smaller teams are beating the other teams, the top teams. So actually no one can really predict it. So everyone's trying to get that confidence, that momentum, that winning kind of run. So it's our job as United not to let Liverpool gain that confidence. End of the day is a cup game against our biggest rivals, so we have to go strong. So I agree with that. But I'm feeling confident. I think we're gonna beat Liverpool even with the changes we make. Sorry, lads.
Vas is you're always confident. Honestly,
I'm also confident. Just ignore me. No, it should be a good game. I hope it's a better game than the last one. So.
Yeah, I think everyone agrees that. Well, I was sweating last game, so this is gonna be worse for me. But Jerry, what do you reckon in terms of Man United potentially, causing some form of halt towards Liverpool? Because look, let's be real. Like I mentioned, 5 games without a victory for Liverpool. We could potentially make it 6. It's a huge game. A lot of people are going to be watching this. I believe the last game that we played at Anfield literally a week ago was one of the most viewed games, televised games, like since God knows how many years. So it's a lot of people going to be watching this. It might not come out here, win a game. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Liverpool, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Right now, sorry lads, but Liverpool are in the mud. It's great to see, because obviously the past 2-3 years they've just been the dominant force in the league, Champions League winners, obviously. But I think it's time to stick the knife in, man. Kick them while they're down, because I believe Liverpool will come out of this rut sooner than later, because they are still a great team. And but right now with the no goal scored and no win in 5, I think it's time to just put them to bed, man. If they go out of the FA Cup,
were you not surprised you didn't try that more last week, Jerry?
Yeah, I think because of last week's game, going into this week's game, I think it's going to be a bit different, because obviously last week's game was a bit cautious. We didn't know how to. Did we go for it, or did we take the point? Or it was kind of like hard to call. But now that you've lost to Burnley, sorry to bring that up once again, but now that you've lost to Burnley, I think we're gonna, and we're home as well. I think we're gonna go for it, man. So yeah, I think this is the time to just go all out.
I'm desperate for United to go for it. I'd like there to be a football match. I'm exhausted. I'm sick of watching Liverpool. I'm watching the opposition not engaged.
I agree,
The big thing of our last 5 games is we come up against teams who spend either all the game in the cases of West Brom, Newcastle, and Burnley, or some of the game in the cases of Southampton and Man United, just sat in their own penalty area.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
and it's so hard to watch with no one in the ground, and I think no one in the ground, everyone's getting away with it. So I really want United to come at Liverpool tomorrow, even if that meant United won the game. In that, I just quite like to see an engaged football match where both teams are looking to make it happen. Because genuinely, the whole of the last calendar year I've watched football, there haven't been that many of them, and that's something that if you win 26 out of 27, sides start playing against you and start just basically camping in their own penalty box. So it's been turgid at times watching Liverpool, even in games that we've won. And one of the reasons why is because the opposition aren't that interested. And the way United started last week, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how negative they were for the first half an hour. And even for the first 15 minutes of the second half, how much they were on the back foot. So I'd love to see United have a go. I'd love to see, I'd love to see Old Trafford, or the idea it's a cup game, galvanise them and just see a proper game of football for a bit. And I think that's the sort of thing as well that'll help Liverpool find the way again, and not loads of massive lads camped in their own penalty area looking at us like, well, what are you going to do next? There's 9 of us in our own box, which is the case against Burnley. 9 massive.
Listen, you need a punt by edge of box volley, Neil. That's what you needed, mate. Just to separate the teams. That's
Neil, is it not a case, because it's the FA Cup, that Manchester United might come out and play a bit more expansively against us? They had a lot to lose at Anfield last week in terms of not surrendering the 3-point advantage. You're quite right about it's hard to watch Liverpool at the moment with the way teams sit in, because they're just letting Andy Robertson and Trent try and fire balls into the box. They've got 3 6'6" centre halves, and our little fellas up front are getting nothing. And
Steve,
we don't have
ask you a question on that.
Go on.
Yeah, because obviously,
sure.
I watched the Burnley game, and the commentator said it a lot during the game. I think it was on BT. It was this guy, I can't remember. It might be this guy, but the commentator was saying it practically every 5 minutes. Does it not baffle you that you're playing against Burnley, right? And you're just whipping balls into the box? I know there wasn't much space, don't get me wrong, in and around the box, but I just don't understand the logic behind just Liverpool just consistently crossing it in to a Burnley team, which is their bread and butter. Like, I just don't get that logic.
What I'd say, some of those crosses were driven crosses along the deck as well. I think in general, we get Trent in the penalty area in a lot of space during the match. And if he plays a better ball 2 or 3 times, we get a really good opportunity. Not just the idea of a cross, but a pass to someone's feet, which is what we've seen him play in the past. And I think that's... Go on, Steve.
It's interesting that you mentioned Trent, because we've got 2 different sides to our fullbacks game.
Yeah.
Our patterns of play against Burnley were predictable in terms of, for the first 20 minutes or so, it was get the ball to Robbo, and he tries to drive him in. Now, the difference between Liverpool and other teams is Liverpool's crosses go into areas where they hurt other teams, and over the last 2 or 3 years, they're in there for a reason. They're driven in there for a reason. They're not hopeful balls. So when you're lacking in a bit of confidence and the patterns of play become repetitive because you're lacking in confidence, I thought Trent's delivery for the last 2 or 3 games has been lacking incision. It's kind of, he's doing it for the sake of doing it rather than actually putting some whip on the balls and looking for specific targets. I don't think the team setting up against us are helping us. We're not playing with a 10, which makes it difficult. On the midweek game against Burnley, I was crying out for Thiago to step forward 10 yards and sit in a hole in front of what Burnley were doing in terms of their low block, just to try and be a little bit more creative, because you could see a pass that other members of the team can't. But the difficulty was in selecting Oxlade-Chamberlain and Shaq. You needed somebody with a little bit of defensive responsibility, because you don't really get that from those 2 guys. So it's been a hard watch to watch Liverpool and the crosses from out wide at the moment, and not doing what they've been doing for the last 2 years. And I think this is, as I said before, this is a great opportunity, and Neil's quite right. If Man United come out and play, because let's be honest, you won't be prioritising the FA Cup when you're sitting top of the Premier League at the moment. So it's an opportunity for to come out and have an enjoyable game of football, pressurise Liverpool like you didn't really do at Anfield, except for, say, the last 20 minutes. See what you can do, because as your man in the bottom right there, sorry I don't know your name, said, now's the time to sort of, Liverpool are down to some degree. Now's the time to turn the screw. So maybe there's a train of thought in United that says, we come out and have a go. They'll still be playing a centre midfielder at centre back. You can get at these guys. So it would be really nice to see that, because it would allow spaces for teams to play football rather than, and United did do it for certainly an hour, to sort of sit in defensively and say to Liverpool, this is what we're going to do, what can you do?
I don't think teams. So, for instance, Burnley in the week, they got a lot of praise for the defending, and in terms of last line stuff and clearances, they did it very, very well. But Man United, Burnley, Southampton, even, but especially Man United and Burnley, the amount of time Liverpool found themselves in the penalty area, and ultimately the players just didn't perform. You know, Mane's going through a terrible run of form, but he's bursting into the penalty area over and over again, and he's just not picking people out who are runners in there for a little 6-7 yard pass for a side foot into the back of the net. And this is United first half. You know, there's one point where Firmino should score. Then there's another point where Firmino should just roll Robertson in at the back post, and he'd have a one-on-one with the keeper. You know, this isn't good. If this is happening, this isn't good defending. But what it is it's committed defending and it's mass defending. Good defending is when people don't get near your penalty area. Yeah. But Liverpool at the minute, sides are going so deep, and then what they're doing is why it becomes good defending is psychologically Liverpool start doing their own heads in. That's the biggest problem. Liverpool just lose sharpness and just begin to go mad. To be honest with you, and watching it's difficult to watch. They start to do the same stuff over and over. They get frustrated. Sorry.
I say it's not been difficult to watch as a United
fan. I mean, in general, I think the standard. So going back, so in 1819, I've got a stats thing I use called Stats Bomb for our shows, and in 1819, Burnley come to Anfield 4-2, and over the course of that game, Burnley pressure, according to Stats Bomb, Liverpool 302 times. This season, when Burnley came to Anfield, they pressured Liverpool 69 times. 69 times. Wow. And the pressures are down in every match because the intensity is down. The players aren't as fit. And it's one of the reasons why, for instance, floating number 10s are prospering a little bit more than normal because the intensity is not there and they've got a bit more time. But these games, a lot of these games at the minute, they're not great to watch.
They're lacking hunger, don't you think? The players. I don't think you can see in someone's eyes as well. They don't have that kind of sharpness, confidence, but there's that hunger, desire to actually go and win.
I think something missing. I think you're seeing frustration.
Yeah.
I think you're seeing frustration in the players' eyes, not a lack of hunger. They still want to win the games. But you don't go 68 games at Anfield without defeat and 97 points and 99 points respectively, and suddenly wake up one morning and lose your hunger. What we're seeing at the moment is football, to some degree, because of the lack of fans, has become really passive for me. And you don't get, a thunderous challenge that earns a yellow card lifts the whole ground, lifts the team, lifts both sets of fans, and you get an energy from the fans, and that's not there. I think at the moment, it's a difficult watch. I think all football is quite difficult to watch at the moment. It's not just Liverpool that are going through a spell.
Well,
7 or 8 weeks ago, you guys, 7 or 8 weeks ago, Man United fans are calling for Solskjaer's head. How things can change, and they will again for Liverpool, but it needs to come soon because we're kind of allowing the teams around us, and more so Manchester City, with all due respect, to build up a little bit of a cushion. I think you're getting 110% out of your players at United at the moment. There's got to be a drop off. There's got to be a drop off. Got to be a drop off in form somewhere.
On Liverpool being the hunger question, Salah starts off the bench and he comes on against Burnley, and within 3 minutes of coming on, he gets a really good chance, a snapshot. Does really well with it. Pope, it's a good save. Could have skewed into the back of the net, but it doesn't. It's a strong enough hand and it goes around the post. Camera cuts to Salah and he looks absolutely broken off the back of it. When we were flying, when we were flying, Mo Salah would have laughed.
But don't you think
and that's not like a hunger. It's like the weight of the pressure of it. You're
not scoring in 4 games though. Like
exactly.
So the best team in the universe. You're not scoring in 4 games.
And it's the pressure of it. It's the pressure of it. I think they're so desperate to make it happen, and that's the problem. To me, they're too desperate. They need to relax. They need to enjoy it. They don't look happy. They look they don't look like they're not hungry.
Yeah, can I just throw something in this? And I know the two lads from obviously the Man United fan base are definitely going to agree with this statement here. Obviously got a few comments I will put on the screen. Last season, right, Man United's biggest struggle was breaking down the low block. This season, right, it seems quite evident, as you suggest, as you've already mentioned, Burnley in particular, teams that I suppose you could put us in that category as well. They're just like, you know what, Liverpool, he tried to break us down. We know what you're going to do. You're going to go to Trent, you're going to go to Robertson, and you're going to try and cross the ball in. At the moment, obviously, Thiago's not had much of an opportunity, so of course you can't really judge him. But he's meant to be that person to change that, unlock the door from midfield, which is something you didn't really have last year. So everyone's looked at it this season, said, let them have the ball wide. We'll defend in numbers.
The problem with this, Usmaan, is the previous year we were European champions and we got 97 points. it's not like we didn't deal with any low block teams last season. We dealt with loads of low block teams last season. So the question isn't whether or not those low block teams have changed. The question is how Liverpool changed. And
I personally think those teams have studied your patterns of play, as you alluded to earlier, and they've tried to make it difficult for you within the early stages.
But they were doing that last season as well. We got 97. You know, we got 97 points, won the European Cup. The season before, we scored an unbelievable number of goals. Last
season, you had a bit of the rub of the green. Like this season, you know, I'm sure United fans would agree with me. Man United are kind of getting the rub of the green here and there. You see the deflection against Wolves. Things are going in. That bait your own goal. You know,
but I don't think
that would have went in. Like that's what sometimes in football you need that look.
No, I think one of the things. I don't think any of that's necessarily luck. You know, occasionally you can, and also luck evens itself out. It's how you ride your luck. I think makes a difference. And good sides ride their luck. As it stands, Liverpool. The key thing to say about this isn't so. The thing that everyone wants to say is, and that's what the language is this idea of being worked out. Now, there's two different uses of the phrase "worked out." One of the ways it's used is the idea that that people have studied it and have worked it out and have solved the problem. But everyone had 2 years of data last season about how Liverpool play. So nothing's really changed there. And lots of sides tried to be a low block. But what can happen, there's another use of the phrase worked out, which is in mining. So you have a seam, a gold seam. And at some point you run out of gold, the seam's worked out. The seam works itself out. And what my mild Liverpool concern is that these players need to be refreshed. And that's not to be sold or anything like that, but that maybe, just maybe, part of why they're in their own heads so much is they've been doing the same stuff over and over and over and over again for 3 years. And it's began to just sort of not work for them and they themselves, because they look like, each and every one of them looks like they've got the weight of the world on their shoulders. They don't look like they're enjoying it in the slightest. And one of the things you'd say about Liverpool the last couple of years is they always look like they were having a good time. They'd work dead hard, but they'd be laughing and smiling. People would be saying little things
but when you're top of the table and everything's going and you're winning games, look at the Man United players. Everyone seems happy at the moment, but if we lose a couple of games, that's not going to be the general consensus within the.
But what I mean, like even within games where it wasn't going well for Liverpool last season, Liverpool would have smiles on their faces. As I say, the Salah thing's dead interesting. He was literally fresh. He had his first shot, having been on the pitch for 3 minutes, and you'd have thought he played. You'd have thought it was the 96th minute of the match. The look on his face, not 3 minutes of he himself getting on, and that's the problem. And listen, this is the point about all of this: is this could turn quite quickly. In that Liverpool get a couple of lucky ones that go in against United on Sunday or against Spurs on Thursday, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, "No, this is fun. This is enjoyable again." But I think the old stories of what used to happen in some dressing rooms and in some places. They need, whatever the lockdown 21st century equivalent is of a bit of a blowout. And I think that they haven't had that. And that's, another thing I will point out in amongst all of this is until City, 17-18 to 18-19, no one retained this league going all the way back until United in 09. No one had retained it because it's such a big ask and it's such a psychological challenge. And there was loads of sides. Pellegrini's City, they win it in 13-14. They're abject 14-15. And it's this idea that you just lose your freshness. And I think it's more that than anything the opposition are doing. Liverpool just look really stale themselves. And if there was anything I could do, I just sort of want to give them all a big hug and remind them the champions and tell them to go and enjoy them.
Right. Listen, Neil, I'm going to have to bring the United boys in because I know we ain't going to want to give them a hug. Jerry, let's bring you in. Obviously, heard what Steve and Neil have had to say, obviously, regarding, their sort of mentality or their sort of current emotions going to get us in terms of the players. From a Man United perspective, you've heard from the Liverpool perspective. You already said kick them when they're down, so to speak, which is kind of what I was going to say as well. How important is it that we come into this game? I know Liverpool wanted to attack. We actually come into this game with a lot of impetus going into this, because if we do hypothetically win this game, again, it's another marker for us. It's another stepping point, another bit of important momentum going into what will be a cup final every single game come to the end of the season.
Yeah, I know I'm going to kind of contradict myself, but I know we're at home and we should be the attacking team back. No, because I think, if we play like how we played the last game with the sitting back low block, I think that will piss Liverpool off. It will piss them right off. And I think they'll lose their heads. If we play with the low block, they will just be starved of ideas. And I think like in the Anfield game, we had a couple breakaways where we should have scored. Rashford, I think, it's offside 7 times. Pogba should have scored. Bruno should. I think we should just play the same way. You know, I think that will piss Liverpool right off. They can't break us down, and then we just hit them on the break. Because I think if we play into their hands, that could probably give them the catalyst to bring back their form. Because they still have dangerous players. I don't want to see Mane one-on-one with Lindelof or Salah, Origi if he plays, Firmino, Thiago. I think we should just play as we have been, because I think just for this game, because it is a cup game, there has to be a winner. And I think with the 5 subs rules as well, we got a brilliant bench. We can bring on Van der Beek if he starts, or if he don't, bring on Rashford, Marshall, whoever it is. I think we'll have enough. So yeah, man, I think we should just to piss Liverpool off, because another low block, they will lose their minds. I'm telling you.
Obviously, it was funny listening to obviously Neil and Steele talking about how frustrating it is. What they've got Spurs after us. I know vlogs.
Joe's exactly. I think we should.
So I think Joe will piss them off enough for everyone, to be honest. But for me personally, I hear what you're saying, Jerry. I hear what you're saying in terms of why not because we piss them off, but in terms of that works potentially. If we were a bit more clinical on the break, we could have got through. I personally just want to see a good game of football, to be honest. I know it's Liverpool, and the most important thing is getting the W. Of course, that's the case, but in terms of the game, I want to see something from Man United in a big game, because I've not seen anything from us. I can't name one game that we've, in a big game or a so-called big team, Arsenal including that, we've not done anything. We've lost to Arsenal, lost to Spurs, lost to Man City, drawn to Man City, drawn to a poor Chelsea team at the time, drawn to Liverpool as well, drawn to Leicester. We've not done anything. Like I said this about 3 weeks ago, and a lot of people on social media was giving me a lot of shit because everyone was saying I'm so negative. But the fact of the matter is, okay, it's good that we're winning the lower teams, don't get me wrong, but I want to see us putting on a statement. I know it's in the cup, but it could knock Liverpool further down, because there's 6 games then without a W. So like for me personally, was like I'm not gonna say let's go gun ho, of course not, because that'll open up too much space for the likes of Salah and Mane. But for me, I want to see something from Man United in terms of attacking threat. And I feel like when we was attacking them the last 30 minutes, we look like we could score our will going forward, because they haven't got any defenders. So, well, they obviously got the fullbacks, but they haven't got proper defenders. I'm assuming Matip will be back for this one. Well, start this one, so that probably change something. But what do you reckon? Do you agree with Jerry? Do you think we should be cautious, or do you agree with myself and think, obviously not going home, but at least offer a bit more than last game? It was too defensive for me.
I kind of sway more towards you, not because you're my brother, but
look at his bias.
To be honest, I'm a United fan. Sorry, Jerry, you're my brother. Cool, man. The thing is, I just want to see a good game of football for both sets of fans, because I think that last game was just after all that build-up and hype and all that business.
But it's been like that for time, though. It's been like that. I said it's been like that for the past.
It has, but I want to actually see some football. Like Usmaan was saying, if you want to beat Liverpool, I don't want to beat them the Burnley way. That's just...
I'll take that all day.
Yeah, I would take it. I want to outplay them, man, because this is Old Trafford. Because we've got the players to do it. We've got a lot of good players, and they've got a lot of good players as well. So I want to see a good game of football from both teams as well.
You know, when I say sit back, it's not sit back the whole game, because like you said, the last game, the last 30 minutes.
No, counter-attack kind of football, catch them on the break and all that business.
But the last 30 minutes in the last game, I think this game we should attack more, because the last one we was kind of like, should we go or should we stay? If it's the last 30 minutes, it's still 0-0. Let's go and just attack them like fully, but not the whole game. I think first half
of the first minute.
Yeah, you pick your moments. You don't go like gung ho and all that.
This is Liverpool, you know. They will be back. They will be back. I'm telling you.
Oh, no, yeah, I know, but that's going to happen regardless, and it doesn't matter about that. But the thing is, I just want to see a good game of football. I'm sick of this sitting back business. It's just too boring. We've got the players. Both teams have got players to have a good game and good competition. And if you win, you know, you win well. So I want to see that. So that's just my opinion.
I don't know, man. I just want a W. That's
maybe it's a bit risky, but who cares? You can do it in the FA Cup. I mean, we want to go for the league, innit? So I mean, you can just.
No, I want the FA Cup too. There's much importance just as the league for me, because again, I don't. No, you know why? Because this semi-final chaos, I haven't forgot. Like,
yeah, that is true. That is
true. Winning, by the way. Sorry, I didn't update.
Yeah, they won 3-1.
Is it 3-1?
Yeah, I want to win a cup this season, man. And maybe it's the league, but I think we should take the cups very seriously.
Maybe it's the league. You're just saying it that casually, like it's a minor thing. Like, yeah,
no, because
I'm thinking, I'll take an FA Cup in the top 4 and start the season. This guy's like, yeah, maybe the league.
No, because I know we're first, but I'm scared, man. It feels weird to be top. And we'll get into the second half of the season.
Look, my problem is, obviously, I'll throw it back to you, Steve. My issue with Man United is every time we played a good team when it's mattered, Man City, we lost 2-0. We literally went out with a pure whimper. Like, there was no fight, there was no design. Okay, fair enough. If you play a bit more attacking, I'm sure the Liverpool fans would be happy to hear that because they're playing to your hands. But I'd rather us go down with a fight. Like, I don't want to lose the game 1-0 by some random goal that Liverpool scored because they pegged us back and we can't get out at Old Trafford. We're playing at home. We're top of the table. They've not won in 5 games. They've not scored in 4. Like, we're meant to be top of the table. If we're not in this false position, we need to come out and prove we're not in a false position. Because at the moment, it is looking like we're in a false position because we can't beat anyone of any merit. We're just beating like teams that I'd expect us to beat. So, like, Steve, what are your thoughts in terms of obviously hearing from our perspective? Obviously Jerry's saying he wants to play on the counter-top, which is understandable. Obviously, I know my style would prefer you guys, but in terms of Manchester United, what are your thoughts as a Liverpool fan looking from the the outside in? What is your thoughts on the current club?
I think United will approach it exactly the same as they did at Anfield, in the sense that if you're playing Liverpool right now, when you watch the videos and do your research, you play in a way that affects Liverpool and disrupts Liverpool's pattern. So to sit in deep and put a low defensive block in and be organised defensively, as Neil pointed out earlier, it's not great defending, it's mass defending. They'll do the same again. 7 times, if you time the run differently at Anfield, you get in behind Liverpool. So they will talk about that. We'll talk about all of those runs that were caught offside.
Offside 7 times in a row.
Exactly. And in the last 20 minutes of the game, all football matches open up when they're 0-0 with sort of 15, 20 minutes to go, because ultimately you play a football match to win a game, don't you? But for our keeper, you might have pinched it. I don't see Man United doing anything differently. If you do your homework and you look at what's disrupting Liverpool's pattern at the moment, why would you give the likes of Salah and Mane, and at the moment Mane's trying too hard for me. He's forcing lots of things and it doesn't seem to be fluid, and he's, as Neil said, he's not enjoying it. Why would you suddenly change your game plan to give those guys more space? Because it'll only take a goal and it'll all come flooding back, all that confidence. Just as I said earlier on in the pod, it'll only take a win to get the camp buoyant again and to get a bit of confidence back in. So if you're Man United, you don't set your team up to let Liverpool off the hook with the things that they're suffering with at the moment, and they are suffering when teams sit in really, really deep. So I think it'll be more of the same, and it's down to us as a club to solve that problem, because it isn't going to go away. It will come again against Tottenham on Thursday, and it will come against all the teams that are sort of lower half in the table. No disrespect to them. They'll all continue to do the same, because somebody somewhere thinks it's a blueprint to stop Liverpool from winning games. It's down to us to find the solution. We don't play with a couple of tens like Man City do, where they create angles and get round the back of you using advanced centre attacking midfielders. We do it from our full-backs and out wide, which is why I made the point earlier. I'd like to see Thiago just step forward 10 yards and play in a big hole that sits in front of the sort of defensive midfield position he's been playing in. So for me, Man United will approach it exactly the same way as they did when they played as Anfield.
Okay, that's understandable. I think, to be fair, it's probably realistic that will happen. Just for me as a United fan, I can see why that would happen, but I just kind of want us to go for it in terms of show me what you can do, show me what you're about. Obviously, a lot of people might call me stupid for saying that because it probably plays into Liverpool's hands. Bearing that all in mind, Neil, what's your lineup? Who are you going for? Let's go through everyone's lineups, and obviously we could discuss the key battles and the score prediction. So, if you're Klopp, Neil, what are your thoughts going into this one?
I'd like to play Henderson, but that's a question mark because he wasn't available for the game against Burnley. I'd very much like my centre. I wouldn't have a problem with Liverpool maybe shaking it up a little bit, because I think if United do what Jerry and Steve think United will do, then it actually gives Liverpool a bit of room to experiment a game like this, 5 subs, and to maybe line up a little bit differently. So I would, if we're in a situation where Henderson's fit, I wouldn't mind seeing Liverpool go for something that looks a bit like a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2 with Salah playing number 9. and then look to use possibly even just to freshen him, just for even if it's just a half, just the first half, use Mane off the right. So play Salah through the middle and use Mane off the right for a little period, just to have it be a bit different for these players and just give them new problems to solve and put them in different areas of the pitch so they're not dealing with the same footballers. And then from there, that's if you can play Henderson and Thiago, because I think that'll get some of what Steve's looking for, which is Thiago released higher up the pitch if he's got Henderson next to him, so he can step forward a few yards and relax. And then I'll be looking to work out your left-hand side, possibly play Oxlade-Chamberlain there, and just get him to play a left mid role if you're playing a 4-4-2-3-1, and then look to maybe play Minamino in behind for the period and just ask him and probe. Okay. I wouldn't have a problem with Liverpool starting like that, and then they'd have a bench with Shaqiri on, with Firmino on if they want to change it, with Origi on in an attacking way. If Keita's fit and Henderson isn't, I wouldn't have a problem at all going Keita and Thiago. I think that'd offer Liverpool some spark from the middle of the park as well. And then a back four of, I would start Alexander-Arnold because I actually think he's defending all right. I think that he's not attacking well, but he's defending all right, and I think that that's worth bearing in mind. Matip, Fabinho, and Tsimikas was on the bench against Burnley. I just feel it comes a bit soon. So I think at some point Liverpool have got to start finding a way to get Andy Robertson a rest, but not for this one at Old Trafford. I think if we were at home to Cheltenham, say, and it was the fourth round of the FA Cup, I'd start Tsimikas.
Yeah, I should expect Robertson to get a rest against Cheltenham.
Yeah, but not at Old Trafford. I think Liverpool need to go into it. And I think the key question, the next question, is what he does in goal, because I think that'll tell you a lot. Because
he has to play Alisson. He has to be.
It would not surprise me if he plays Kelleher. It would surprise me if
he's not a bad keeper, to be fair.
No, but in the same way, I think United will play Henderson. I think United will play Henderson. In that, I think that there's a thing around the cups that if you've said to the keeper, and I think that managers try to be people of the word. If you said to the keeper, you're getting the cup games, I think that managers on the whole are reluctant to then say, I've changed my mind. So I'd go with something like that. As I say, I think and I think all of that for 45 minutes, because you've got the 5 subs, you can have a look. And if it's not working, you can just basically make a change at half time and go back to 4-3-3. What I've just described there. You take Minamino off, bring Firmino on at half time. You've got 4 subs left, and you bring Oxlade-Chamberlain back into the centre of midfield alongside Henderson or Keita and Thiago, and then just sort of say go from there. Wijnaldum on the bench as well to come on possibly for 45. So I think Liverpool can have a little look at being a bit different, and I'd like to see Salah play centre forwards.
Interesting. Okay, we've got a comment here from the Football Agenda, aka Chris. James and Rashford to start this one. Liverpool will get stuck between attack and not getting too high. They're a bit stuck psychologically. United to go through. So what are your thoughts? He's gone for James and Rashford. I'm assuming Cavani will be on top in his team selection. What are your thoughts? What's your team selection?
Yeah, I'd probably go for like a 4-2-3-1. You can maybe put Dean Henderson in goal, I suppose. Right back, probably same as we did against. Who did we play last? I can't remember who played last.
Fulham. What are you talking about? In the league or?
Yeah, the league. Fulham. Yeah, but I'll probably give Bayer a rest. I think I'm probably most likely to bring Lindelof in there. But I'll probably give Tuanzebe a run out. Maguire has to start. Left maybe.
But who's your centre back? You just picked all 4 of them there. So who are you going? Lindelof?
Oh, sorry.
Lindelof.
Maguire, no, Lindelof and Maguire. Lindelof and Maguire.
You just said you're going to start Tuanzebe though.
No, that's what I think he might.
It's your team. Forget.
Is it my team? All right. Is it my team?
yeah. You do what you would do in charge.
All right. So left back, I'll go with Telles, and then probably 2 holding midfielders. It'll probably be Matic. I'll bring Matic in, and maybe Fred and Matic. Just in front of them. I want to see Van de Beek, to be honest.
Please play Matic.
Actually, not Fred. I'll probably put Pogba with Matic and Van de Beek just in front where Bruno plays. Left,
it's like you're just thinking it on the spot.
My days.
I don't know who's gonna play. Just Jerry, I'll come back to me.
Let me go.
Let Jerry go.
Today would be nice.
Yeah, Cavani up top. That's it. Cavani up top. Rashford on the left.
You've just picked about 20 players. Jerry, you do your team. Come back to
I can't.
Don't just in the same team, please.
I agree.
For the
It's hard to pick because obviously I did my preview yesterday, and even now I'm starting to change it. But in goal, Dean Henderson, I think he's an adequate replacement for De Gea to come in for this game.
Yeah.
Right back. Apart from Wan-Bissaka, I don't know who else we have. So yeah.
I don't know why you guys are saying on right back. We've only got one right back.
Okay.
I want United to pick Wash's team.
There's literally no other.
Okay. Let me go.
Wash's team because if you put a team sheet in with 17 players on, United will get qualified and we'll go through.
But Neil, you confused me when you said 5
We've only got
5 extra players on the team.
We've only got one.
Cool. Wan-Bissaka, but Tuanzebe's played this season, so he can play.
You're not gonna play him against.
No. For me, Wan-Bissaka. Ollie's already said Lindelof's coming straight back in, so Lindelof and Maguire.
Okay.
Left back, Luke Shaw for me. He always has Salah in his pocket, so I'm going for him again. Not Tellers. Sorry, Tellers can't. Nah, Luke Shaw for me. The double pivot, I'm going Scott and Fred, the go-to guys for Liverpool. I mean, the energy, the tenacity. I'm actually dropping Bruno in the out of the team. I'm playing Pogba number 10.
Oh wow, okay.
On the left, Rashford. On the right, I'm actually going to agree with, I don't know who, football journalist is James.
It was Chris.
Yeah, I'm going James on the right and then Cavani up top.
Wow, okay. You've thrown a couple of curveballs in there.
Yeah, man.
In terms of Bruno, not dropped. I don't want to use that word.
Not dropped, but rested, sorry.
Drop him.
Do we rest him against Liverpool? We got Sheffield United. I don't
know. He looks knackered, man. He looks knackered. Even the Fulham game, I know he got a few shots off, but he looks like out of it, man. I think it's time to just. We got Van der Beek. I didn't even mention him. Flipping out. But yeah, Pogba. I think is Pogba's too good right now to drop, and I would like to see him further up the pitch. I don't want to see him in a double pivot against Liverpool. That's just disastrous for me. So yeah, I'll play him further up with Scott and Fred just protecting the back four.
Okay, cool. Steve, last but not least. On having heard what the two lads have said, to be honest, I don't remember what Lasse said, but
I actually don't remember what I said.
What are you going for?
I agree with Neil that I think we might see a change in goal for Liverpool. I genuinely think that will happen. I think the fullbacks will be the fullbacks that play predominantly throughout the season because they give us so much more. And I also agree with Neil that we need a change of shape. I called for it following the game on midweek against Burnley. Yeah. We do need a change of shape. If you play Salah through the middle as a 9, it gives you a different proposition rather than picking the ball up on the touchline and trying to go past people. When there's a lot of bodies in the box, that becomes difficult. I'd like to see Henderson play. I think Henderson is a great screen and a great organiser in terms of the right side of the team. I think playing Shaq or Ox there doesn't give Trent the screening that he needs, because we know he's better going forward than he is going backwards, although I agree again with Neil this season he's been better defensively than we've seen sort of certainly last season. You could raise questions about that. I don't think Gini will play. I'm not sure if Keita's fit, whether I'd play Keita. It's a game that don't know if it suits him, and I'd like to see Minamino get a bit of a run, but playing behind a front man, because he's a 10. He's not an 8 or a replacement for Gini, as I've seen written all over social media. He absolutely isn't. He's a 10. For Salzburg against Liverpool, he absolutely tore us to bits in the 10 position. We couldn't get near him. That player's still in there, but we just haven't played it in a formation, with a game plan that suits him and helps him. He's very clever movements, very intelligent footballer. We just can't find a way to make him effective in our team. So I agree with Neil, a change in shape. With Salah through the middle, Mane on the right. Oxlade's a good shout for left midfield, but he'd have to be disciplined. But I think we need to set up differently. I really do.
That's interesting. Regarding Minamino in particular, he's barely had a look in really at his time in Liverpool. And I was kind of looking at Chamberlain. I was about to say, I was looking at Chamberlain as well. And although he got off to such a brilliant start prior to that injury, and I was like, he's just falling off the face of the earth really as well to the extent. I forgot he was there. In terms of what you've heard from the guys, obviously Jerry's not playing Bruno, if I'm not mistaken. You're not got Bruno in team, have you, Jerry?
Nah, Pogba in the 10 for me, man.
Okay, so they both got Bruno in their team. I'm kind of indifferent. I don't know what to do regarding Bruno, because I do agree he does need a rest as well. And Van de Beek could potentially come in. Where do you think the key battles are for you, Neil, in terms of what you heard from the guys?
I think that the main thing that you're looking at is the idea of United looking to spring Liverpool. Again, United were caught offside 7 times, or Rashford was caught offside 7 times. There wasn't the requisite respect given to Fabinho and Henderson. That's 2 centre midfielders playing centre half, and they managed to catch Marcus Rashford offside that many times. That suggests a well organised defence.
It's not an achievement, Neil. I can assure
Well,
he's very much born offside at the moment.
Well, that's fine. But I thought Liverpool do that very well, but I think that is the main thing that they've got to keep getting right. The key battle is ultimately whether or not, when Liverpool are on top, whether or not they score. Liverpool will be on top for a period of the, whether United play the Burnley way or the Busby way. Liverpool will be on top for a period of the game, and when that comes, that's Liverpool have got to capitalise, and that's the key battle ultimately. And this is the problem at the minute. I go into matches, and it can sound ridiculously self-obsessed, but for me, the key battle is Liverpool versus Liverpool. Is the psychology of Liverpool and where their heads are in terms of just if they can relax and play a bit of football. I think the other thing as well to point out is I think if they do play Salah off the right, whoever's left back, if it is Shaw, I think Salah's got to perform a little bit better. But I also think when Liverpool were on top at Anfield, they got Fred into a fair bit of bother. So whoever plays holding midfield, and that's why when you mentioned Matic, I think Matic looks great when he's allowed to look great as a holding midfielder, when he glides around the pitch and steps in and wins it. If Matic is playing, run at him, because you'll just take him out the game, because he can't turn around. He is an absolute wardrobe of a footballer. So just run at him. Don't let him play the position on his own terms. Just run at him and turn him and spin him. And that's how Matic has got himself found out, I think. So if Matic starts, I would have a very specific Matic plan as to whose job it is to consistently either just stand behind Matic or run at Matic over and over again and make him turn round, because it takes about 3.5 weeks.
Wow. Okay, so definitely rate Matic here from Neil. Steve, what do you reckon? Where do you think the key battles are for you?
If we change shape, Maguire versus Salah could be a good battle, because similarly to Matic, Maguire's often his starting position is really poor, and it takes him a little while to adjust to that. So that's the thing when you're a number 9, isn't it? You make your runs and you gamble and you hope that one central defender passes the responsibility onto the other one. And I think with Maguire, you've always got a chance to switch off. Don't get me wrong, he's improved, but I still think you can target him. Still think you can get at him. I agree that Matic would be a weakness. You want to pick the ball up and drive at him. So I kind of rethink the Keita argument. That's what Keita did so well in the Bundesliga. He picked the ball up and he drove at teams and asked questions. It'd be nice to see somebody do that to Matic. And again, it all depends on the timing of your counter-attacks and whether you release the ball at the right time and whether we can continue with our offside plan and catch you again. Lots and lots of permutations on that pitch. It would be an interesting game, but I really would like to see Liverpool change their shape, because it would put Manchester United in a position where they'd have to sort of think on their feet and make changes on the pitch, and it'd be interesting to see how they cope with that.
Ollie's in-game management doesn't exist,
so you're asking the players to do it. So that makes it even more interesting that you do have to have decision makers on the pitch that can identify a problem and change it. And if Liverpool are clever with their tactics, they do change shape and they do approach it slightly differently. Expecting United to approach it the way they did at Anfield, I would favour Liverpool taking a different approach and asking some questions, positional-wise and tactically. Yeah,
no, that's understandable. I think I remember when we played Man City not so long ago, and obviously last season we kept beating them with exactly the same style, and then for some reason this season we did the exact same thing in the Cup and the beat us 2-0, because Pep Guardiola completely flipped the script in terms of how he approached the game. He overloaded the midfield completely, and he stopped us from getting the ball out, which was something that quite evidently Ollie wasn't expecting. I think for me personally, that's a very key point that you said. A lot of what you said there is kind of expecting us to play it a certain way, which is another issue for me basically going into this game. It's quite clear that a lot of people want us to sit back and hit the car. I think Liverpool are going to expect that. And if they're expecting that and we actually do it, they're going to have a plan to break that down, because for me personally, it's too predictable from our perspective. That's why I feel like if we go for them or press them high up the pitch and do something different, we might catch them off guard. As you said, you're going to approach the game in a certain way. on the back of how you'd expect us to play. I feel like we need to change up because we've been too predictable for too long for me personally in these big games. Hence why I would personally press you high up the pitch and try to force you into errors because we're at home at the end of the day and we shouldn't allow Liverpool to just sit there and get comfortable. But whilst we come to you, where do you think the key battles are? What are you saying?
Yeah, I personally think Rashford needs to do more for me. But if he's in the game more than he was last time, I think the key battle between him and if Trent's playing a right back, I think that's quite a key area where if he does run at him and he pushes them back, so they obviously can't deliver any crosses into the box and stuff like that. So I think that's an area where we can exploit their defense and their weaknesses. Also, I think if Cavani starts, his movement is amazing and his work rate as well. He just harries the defenders. If it's Matip and probably Fabinho probably start at the back for them, I think with his movement and just to be at the right place at the right time, that could cause them a problem as well. So I'd say Rashford and Cavani could be an issue for them. Also, Pogba's playing with a bit of spring in the step as well. He's the informed player, so I think he could have a big impact as well if he's spraying the balls, like to the strikers or the forwards as well, and just finding that kind of space. So I think those key areas, a central kind of side with Pogba, and then obviously Rashford running at the defenders, and also Cavani's movement. So that's the kind of area I think will be key for us, and that's where we can cause them problems as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, Jerry, I agree with what Wasser said in terms of the battles. You put Pogba in number 10, which when he's played there, has been absolutely phenomenal for us, really. How important is it Pogba? Well, I'm saying this, he might not start, but how important is it Pogba is for this game? Because we saw at Anfield, he was playing on the right wing, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he's ever played there in his career, if I'm not wrong. How important is it that Pogba obviously is in the right position, firstly, and how important can he be in this game? Because he's been the clutch player of late, hasn't he?
Exactly, he's been our go-to guy. Obviously, 2 winners in the last 2 games. On the right,
should have been 3. Should have been 3.
Yeah.
Alisson the save.
Him on the right at Anfield was strange to see, man. He didn't really affect the game too much, but like I said with my team, if Scott and Fred are protecting the defense, it allows Pogba to flaunt his stuff and attack. The key area for me is our team versus Alisson Becker, because I think bar Fabinho, he's been their best player, and the saves he makes, obviously the last game he gave away the penalty, which I think was soft, but who cares? He's the best keeper in the world. It's hard to admit, but he's kept Liverpool in a lot of games, makes big saves. I think it's going to be our attack versus him, because I think he's the only person that's standing in our way, because again, Pogba should have scored last game, Bruno as well. Yeah, I think because we're going to create chances, and I think just to get past Alisson is going to be the big battle in this game for me.
We need a penalty by the sound of it. Right, just to wrap it up, let's get on score predictions. You'll start with yourself. What are your thoughts?
Liverpool 3-2 after extra time.
Just go into extra time.
Yeah, it goes extra time, yeah.
Extra time and then penalties. Liverpool 3-2 after extra time.
I don't think anyone wants extra time. Bloody hell. Steve, what are your thoughts? What's the score prediction?
I think it'll be 1-1 and it'll go to penalties. And then it's a lottery, isn't it? It's anyone's.
All right, fair enough. Well, right, imagine us losing to penalties. Klopp would love that. What are your thoughts?
I think we'll win 1-0. There you go.
You said you want to play attacking football.
It's going to be a good game. 1-0 wins are good. Trust me.
Okay, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Jerry, what do you reckon?
I'm going to have to agree with Wes. 1-0 United.
Oh, Jerry, don't agree with that.
No, because I think...
This must say 4. Play good comeback.
It's going to be a tight game. I think we'll just nick it, man. Yeah, 1-0 United. That's what I'm going for.
Okay, we've got 2-0 United in the chat. I think it's going to go to extra time as well. I honestly think it's going to be literally 1-1 the whole game practically, and someone's going to win it last 5 minutes. Like, obviously, I'm not going to say on the fans. Of course, I'm going to say Man United are going to win it. But I do think it's going to be one of them games. It's going to be really tight, 1-1 for most of the game, and someone will win it towards the end, either extra time or last 5 minutes of the game. So I'm going to say 2-1 to Man United, of course. I can't say 2-1 to Liverpool. You know, I'd get some shit for that. But listen, it is what it is. We'll find out tomorrow. As always, we'll be back Whether watch along live, watch along, see me sweat as we play against Liverpool again, or see me panic because our defense is just constantly under the cosh. As always, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Get your score predictions in the chat if you are watching this later on YouTube. Before we go, as always, Neil, where can the people find you?
TheAnfieldWrap.com.
Fantastic. Steve, where can they find you?
At steplunk on the screen there.
Yeah, fantastic. Wes doesn't have socials, but you can check Wes out on the Facebook. You control the Facebook channel. The link is down below. And last but not least, Jerry, where can the people find you?
Yeah, on the screen over there. Jerry United _ and United Team Talk on the YouTube.
Cool. Everyone's links are down in the description. I will link Jerry's YouTube page as well. So obviously, if you just hit the link, you can go straight to his channel and subscribe. As always, make sure you stay tuned for more content. We'll be back tomorrow, as suggested, with a watch along and the match reaction. Hopefully, smiles on my face. If not, I won't be on social media for a while. Anyways, this is your boys, man. We'll see you tomorrow. And yeah.